Hello, I'm Matthew Berkman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians podcast, episode 222. Kyle?
That's right.
I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman,
That's me.
Philip Dassey,
What's going on?
Kyle Wagner.
Hey guys.
And look, everybody, Kyle's wearing a t-shirt. Kyle did that for us here.
Kyle and his tea.
Yep.
Kyle aims to please.
Yep. Some of the fans were complaining that I always wear
There's one fan. Well, hold on.
collared shirts and
Here's
stick out.
Kyle's biggest fan. And then,
Let's also know what kind of... Oh, sorry.
well, dude, I'm still introducing...
I'm still talking about
Dave,
his shirt.
Dave Rogers, dude.
What's up?
I don't think so much time needs to go into the introduction of Kyle's shirt.
I don't know. There's quite a lot of conversation that goes on about Kyle's shirt in the podcast chat.
Yeah.
But anyways, sorry.
Wow,
Go ahead.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, so Dave Rogers, you came back again. This is your second time on the show, on the way from Delaware, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Thanks for making the effort to travel and on short notice.
Yeah, that was just like you'd asked last week, and I couldn't come. My wife had surgery like too recently, so I couldn't make it that week. But then I was just like, this week I said to her, "Hey, are you up for watching the kids?" And she was like, "Yeah, I can do it this weekend." Okay, see ya. I gotta go.
Yeah, that was on like 3 hours notice because honestly, like Big Ethan gave me like 3 hours notice that you couldn't make it. So it was kind of like thanks for helping out, man. Awesome.
Well, I really enjoy being here. So
Well, we enjoy having you. Kyle was just saying earlier how much he enjoyed having you.
is that because you get another statist, I guess, or something?
No.
That's not where he was going with that. But
Oh,
No.
okay, I got it.
it is always nice to have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it.
There's a lot of
Always
us
nice to have more
around here.
status on the show.
Okay, so number one, I heard a little bit about this from like a coworker earlier, but so there was like an Antifa and the Proud Boys like clashed in Portland. Isn't that the story, Phil?
Yeah, so apparently yesterday, Antifa was protesting a Proud Boys event across town in Portland, Oregon, and it was a pretty big event for the Antifa side, and I guess for the Proud Boys side too. They protested like a mile apart, and people were like all throughout Twitter just posting videos of both protests really. And Antifa was like marching, and there was like no drama over there at all. But of course, Antifa's involved, so there's always drama. And there was a reporter. I'd never heard of him. I still don't even know how to pronounce his name. It's Andy Ngo. Ngo is his last name. And so he was. Apparently, he's notorious for filming. His Twitter bio says it straight up. He's like, Antifa hates me. So he always records Antifa protests. Like he'll go up and like take pictures of and record their stupid signs. Like there was I don't know. You guys know the Antifa logo, which is the 3 arrows pointing down. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. That's their main logo. Well, someone replaced it with like a trident, and it said Satanic 8th Antifa of Oregon was there. Like that was apparently that's like a subgroup of the Antifa. It's just so dumb. So he was just
Kyle, don't you have like an Antifa logo in your book bag?
I do not. No, I don't even know what the 3 arrows stand for. I was just wondering that.
It goes back to their roots as like an anti-fascist, like in Europe. It's the European
Like
thing.
when they were actually anti-fascists.
Mhm, yeah.
Mm.
But they were just communists and socialists at that point. Like,
Yeah.
so of course they were there, and this guy he always reports on. Well, there's a video came out. He was in the middle of the group of them, like just filming. Like he doesn't bother. I mean, he doesn't really do anything that would warrant to be hit. He just goes around filming people in a public place. And,
So he doesn't like antagonize them or like.
I mean, they would consider it antagonization. Like he doesn't. He just goes up and quietly just talks. He's like, okay, we got this picture here. Oh, look at this. They're handing out free milkshakes here, and so he just kind of narrates what he's seeing to his Twitter audience as he's going live on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, whatever.
Right.
And so he just goes up and just records people. Well, they do this bit now where they turn their back to you and they just keep on like edging you out and boxing you out, and they boxed him in completely, and he couldn't get out. He had a bunch of Antifa they were boxing him out the whole entire time. And he's like, well, I guess I'll just have to go tell the police that I just got hit by a milkshake. Because they threw a milkshake at him, and so as soon as he got with the police, the Antifa, he has it on video, like they stopped and and they ran away as he got to the police officer. So he went to him twice and said, "Look, I've been assaulted. These people keep throwing milkshakes at me. I'm not doing anything. I'm just here recording, within his legal right."
I wonder what they're doing to those milkshakes. Do you think they're like peeing in them?
Oh, of
and
course,
spitting in
of
them
course.
and doing all kinds
Well,
of
apparently
so-
they're putting quick dry cement, right?
Yep. Police
Kyle,
posted a
do you think
tweet.
they're putting baby gravy in the milkshake?
There might be some baby gravy. in
Would
there.
you want to drink it if it had the baby gravy?
Oh,
Yeah, a little salty custard.
Ah,
Yeah.
bleh.
yeah, it's a gross thing, and it's assault. Like you.
Well, yeah. I mean, clearly, it's obnoxious. They're not doing. He's not doing anything wrong. He's not hurting anybody. But so, of course, a tweet was put out by the Portland police saying that they had been notified and tipped that they were pouring in quick dry cement in these milkshakes when they throw it at people. And they said, if you've been hit by one, let us know. Or you have any information, let us know. So, and there's like a whole he's filming this thing, and there's a whole U-Haul rented out truck filled in the back of it. Everyone's all dancing because they're playing some electronic dance music or whatever, and they're all dancing to it, and they're all pouring milkshakes with people coming up like in mass. They're coming up in mass, these people, and they're just getting milkshakes poured in their cups to them so they could just throw at people.
Mhm.
And they're just walking around carrying them. And so it escalated to a point where I don't know what started it. They stole his GoPro cam, so I think his footage got cut out, whatever. And so they just surrounded him and they started beating him with he says like a stick or something. And in the video, it's not really clear, but he gets really hard in the face, like really bad, and it ripped his earlobe all halfway off, and really he had goggles on to protect from pepper spray. And I guess someone hit him in the goggles. The goggles drove into his eye socket and
goggles do nothing.
yeah. Oh, my eyes. The goggles do nothing.
What if somebody stole your upskirt shoe cam?
I don't have an upskirt shoe cam. Point there. No, it does show you it's a mob mentality. It's a vigilante justice, and they form these mobs and they go out and they try to hurt people. And there are going to be innocent people that get caught in the crossfire or get mistaken identity. It could be an innocent bystander. It could be a reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very dangerous, and you guys probably wouldn't take this position, but I don't think that the police should tolerate it. So you can call me an authoritarian or whatever, but you can't let a mob of idiots run amok like that.
No,
and just
well, I mean,
throw stuff
well,
at
look,
people.
Well, I think if police have any sort of moral thing that they can do, it's isn't it to protect people and their property?
Yeah.
That's assault. If spitting on somebody is assault, which I do think it's assault. Hitting somebody with a milkshake, is probably somewhere in that realm. Especially when you have no idea what kind of salty custard could be in that milkshake.
Yep.
Or what if they're lactose intolerant?
Yeah.
It's true. Or allergic to milk or something like that. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
but
it could be deadly.
it seems to be mostly I don't
No,
know. Do
I
you think
mean-
it's mostly a West Coast phenomenon?
I
These
definitely
street
think
fights?
it's a bitch move too.
Well,
Because it's I don't know. Anytime I've seen it on video, it's somebody throwing it and then running a little bit.
I'm not aware of an Antifa Baltimore.
I think
there
there's
There is one.
There's one in New York too.
We
Sure,
have.
yeah.
So-
It's,
I think we might have had one on the podcast
I think
before.
anywhere where
No,
there's where there's parents with a basement, it's fucking Antifa. Dude.
I don't know. You probably don't find an Antifa chapter in Texas.
Maybe Austin.
Yeah.
I did find one in Tennessee, and you hear them all. They all pink hair and these just gender fluid people, but they all talk like this. Yeah, there's some racists and the Klan's up there in that building. We're here protesting. They're like, hey, ho, ho, the Klan has got to go. And it's so funny because they all sound
That's
like
awesome.
rednecks. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And I saw a video of that last night. They were protesting I think David Duke and some South African white nationalists. They all got together somewhere in Tennessee. And they were people going out and they're going, oh, so funny. They're out in these little boats, the ones you go out as a kid, on the lake, and you just put your feet, and they're just Antifa, and they got their masks on, and they're holding up their Antifa flags as they're peddling this little boat around, screaming. It's so funny.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're telling me the story about them protesting the Klan, and I feel like that's a justifiable thing where you might need an Antifa, right? If you've got the fucking Klan actually marching.
They weren't marching. They were just a conference.
Most of what I've seen of Antifa
Even so.
is just is just these basement
mouth dwellers or what basement dwellers,
Mouth
Mouth
breathers.
breathers.
They live,
Yeah.
in,
mouth
they live in
breathers.
mouths.
And they're out protesting conservative people and calling them Nazis.
I mean, I don't even have a problem with them protesting. I just have a problem with
Well,
the violence.
It's I don't know. I get annoyed when everybody calls everybody a Nazi.
Well, I'm annoyed by that too.
And
but
I actually just saw the other day one of my lefty friends. Who's, we all have them, and and he posted something about like, if you're quick to say that somebody isn't a Nazi, you must be a Nazi. You're a Nazi defender. And it's
Wow.
like, no, I'm just saying you shouldn't be so quick to call people Nazis, right, Jared?
yeah, agreed.
The problem I have with the liberal
No,
people I see talking on Facebook about Antifa is they'll give arguments about them, and then the last thing is always, well, what's wrong with being anti-fascist? And it's like
Nothing, but I don't believe
not
in
nothing,
the meaning
but
of the
that's
word. It's like Trump is, in my mind, just as fascist as Barry was. He was just as fascist as George W. was. That's just my opinion.
But I think what Dave, right?
yeah, Dave.
What Dave was sort of getting at there was, I get this impression from people that aren't really steeped in this sort of thing, and when they hear about Antifa, which the general public doesn't really hear about them that much as it is, but when they do hear about them, they're like, okay, what is that? Okay, yeah, anti-fascism. Yeah, fascism's bad. Like they hear the name, they think, okay, these must be the good guys, and then the news says, okay, they're going up against these white nationalists, these racists, and that's not obviously it's not the whole story. I mean, it's part of the story, but the other part of the story is these people are out inciting violence. They're destroying private property. They're
calling for you to
attacking
pay for their college. They're calling for you to pay for their gender studies degrees.
I mean, we're conflating a lot of different groups here. That's the other problem. Is like there's a bunch of different groups, even within like these sort of Antifa groups. There was one called like the Black Bloc, which I actually ran into them when I was down checking out the inauguration of Donald Trump. They were the ones, they were wearing the masks and lighting shit on fire. They were the ones that smashed it was like a Starbucks window in. And I have it on video, and you guys can look this up sometime, but I did a whole video. It has like the PRL branding on it, but I caught a guy just saying like, okay, so there was one portion of this group that was marching, right? They're peacefully marching in the streets, right? They got their signs. There's everyone. There's the pussy hat people, like the whole gang.
Everybody was there. Yeah.
But it was peaceful.
Kyle's peeps.
It was peaceful until this guy who was wearing his black mask and whatever, that starts throwing stuff at the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone's like, no, stop, this is a peaceful protest. And then he says, no, this is not a peaceful protest. I caught that on video. And that just kind of sums up like what their ideology is, which is basically by any means necessary. They don't care about, they're not, what do you got, a kettle going off, dude?
Dude, I have no idea what that is.
What the hell?
But they're not, it's like with most libertarians, like we have this philosophy of nonviolence, right? Unless it's in self-defense. Whereas with them, they don't have that concept. It's just like, here's what we believe is right and wrong, and whether it's initiating or self-defense, whatever it is, they don't care. They'll do it. It doesn't matter. Whether it's throwing shit at people, shouting people down, or just peaceful protesting, they don't really care. They're not.
Yeah, they're also
principled.
anti-capitalism and anti-corporation, so they don't see a problem with destroying a Starbucks or a Bank of America or an ATM
Or a trash can.
or really any
or
property
an
because
immigrant's limo.
owned by an evil corporation in their mind.
Kyle, is it not true that you don't believe taxation is theft?
I mean, it is true that I don't believe it. So
What does that have to do with anything, dude?
I don't know, because I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of like justifying violence,
yeah, I mean,
A little bit.
a little bit. Yeah, you have to weigh the outcomes, and I see.
You make special exceptions for the state.
I do. Yeah, I think the government's a unique institution, and it You
See,
know,
I
it
just
needs to
I just
collect
believe,
money
like,
from everybody.
I believe
to fund
all people
its
should be
operation.
held to the same morality, whether they, have like a fancy title, fancy made-up title,
Mhm.
or they're, anybody.
Yeah, it's not really. You can call it a different morality, but it's different rules. I mean, I'm not a police officer. I can't pull you over, but a police officer can pull you over, right? So there's different rules for them because they're in a different role in society. I'm not a judge. I could I couldn't sentence you for a crime or something like that. I can't pass laws. So
Wait, so you don't have like a little
The point
black
is,
robe
like-
and a little hammer?
right, the point is like people in a position of authority, they can do things that other people can't. And I've seen libertarians say like badges don't grant extra rights or things like that, but legally they do. So I mean that's the system. That's how it works. I mean it wouldn't work if no one could enforce laws or no one could make laws and no one could be a judge. That wouldn't work. Somebody has to be able to perform those tasks.
I mean, I think somebody has to be douchebaggy enough to volunteer to perform the task of being a cop. And, I've seen cops do a lot of things or ask a lot of questions that you really don't have to answer. And I think that's very deceptive. I think the whole system's fucked. I also know that, 75% of people who are in prison are in there for nonviolent drug crimes.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't leave me much respect for that profession. I feel like, if somebody actually was a good cop, they wouldn't do much of their job, and it wouldn't last long.
You know what I do have respect for, though? The people that contribute to our Patreon.
Hell
our Patreon,
yeah.
And our Patreon can be found at patreon.com/punkrocklibertarians.
Dude, I feel like only a Jew could make a segue to money.
Shalom.
So
What'd I say, Jared?
if you donate $1 per month, a minimum of $1 per month, you get access to the After Hours podcast, which we'll be recording right after this one's done. So yeah, check it out. Patreon.com/punkrocklibertarians.
We gotta beat Liberty Hangout. Come on, guys.
Oh yeah, we're also trying to out patron.
Right? Dude, like $5. What's $5 a month? $1.
What's
Come on,
$1?
man. Come on. There's a $50 one. One of these guys will give you a hand job.
And if you don't like Patreon, you can message the page and we can set you up with like PayPal or something too. We have a few people doing that don't like Patreon.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, back to the podcast.
So, I'm gonna talk about Antifa still.
Jesus, dude.
No, I wanted to ruin your segue. But dude, like Antifa isn't new. Like this isn't a new thing. I think anyone who's really been into punk music knows about Antifa. Like that's where a lot of these people are. A lot of these people are like they listen to punk music and shit like that. Growing up, I remember I first heard about them was from Anti-Flag's. They have a song called "Seattle Was a Riot," and it was about like the what is it? It was the WTO summit or something like that. And they were protesting up there, and like they just like fucking burnt everything down, and like had a huge.
Okay, so like, what album was that off of?
I think it was off. Because I was just looking at, I'm like, what album is that from? So I just looked it up, and I think it was actually from the compilation of "Live Fat Die Young." One of their, I think it was Expressor for that. I could be wrong.
The last Anti-Flag album I think I got was like it was the one after Die for the Government.
Oh wow! See, I was into like Mobilize and shit like that.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
It's been a long
maybe
time.
I should like check some more of their stuff. I have seen them live.
Same here. That was my first show.
Yeah, and I thought the singer was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Just Insane. That's his name.
yeah, I think like when I saw him, he wanted like cigarettes to not be illegal. Or
Oh yeah,
something.
yeah. He's like totally like vegan, anti. He doesn't
wanted
drink or
cigarettes to be
smoke.
illegal.
Yeah, he wants all because it's big
It just
corporations.
didn't sound very anarchist. You know?
No. They just came out. They just had an Instagram photo of them like all wearing orange to protest gun violence.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of a
just-
funny story. When I was like 17, I let my buddy borrow my Anti-Flag record, and it was Die for the Government, and he put a scratch in it by accident. So I was ticked off, and then so he went to the Anti-Flag show at the Loft in Baltimore, and then he bought me a replacement, and then I remember the record was like $8 or $9 or something, which at that time it was an expensive amount for a band to be charging for a record at a show.
Wow.
So, he was buying it, and the drummer was working the merch table. And so the drummer told him, that the price, it was like $9 or something. And then my friend was like, do you charge tax with that? And
Wow.
then apparently the merch guy, like, overheard it, was like started cracking up laughing. And then the drummer just looked at him like, just giving like the mean mug.
Wow. But yeah, so this is something like, I mean, even like the band Strike Anywhere, their logo is the three like arrows like pointing down. That's their logo. It's the Antifa logo. They're pretty cool band.
Who was it?
Strike Anywhere. That's their band. And so like I've known about these guys for a long time, and everyone's like starting to act like this is a new phenomenon. And I think one thing would be clear, like Antifa is like they're just a bunch of bitches. Like they're just losers, and I can't even go into how much like I despise them. But I think at the same time, though, I'm not one of these boomers who are saying we need to ban face mask and wearing masks in public, and we need to lock them up and call them a terrorist organization. And I'm like, I'm not for like the legislation. I think you should judge them per their acts. Like, so if you see an Antifa guy throwing fists, you arrest him for that reason, not because he's wearing a mask. Like, you're just giving the police more of a reason to fight you, or more to arrest you and violate all of your liberties.
Yeah, totally agree.
And but a lot of people have been calling for that, though. But like I saw, like Dan Bongino and all these conservative talking heads are all demanding that they need to like be labeled a terrorist organization. I don't. Is that a thing? Like labeling a terror? Who does that? The
Dude,
FBI.
the Juggalos are a terrorist.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Shit, that was a while ago. That's right.
They actually got labeled.
Yeah,
by the FBI.
So it is the FBI.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's the FBI.
So I mean, they're going to be around.
It's just absolutely stupid.
Yeah, and it sucks that like these guys are all into punk and they just think they're cool and just. I don't know. That part is not in me. Like to just go up to someone and punch them in the face for no reason just because they're there. And what happened today was I guess there was a confrontation that I saw just now right before we started recording where they beat up this old guy because he's a Proud Boy and like this guy looked like he'd be like near 70. He was like definitely in the 60s and like they just like pommel him over the head with like a billy club.
Well, the Proud Boys in themselves are pretty ridiculous too.
But
aren't they like the byproduct of a Gavin McInnes joke?
Pretty much, but
like he was like, "Hey, wouldn't it be funny if we made an organization
pretty
called
much,
the
yeah.
Proud Boys?" And he was just saying all this ridiculous shit.
And then it got serious.
Somebody took it to heart and made it an organization. And Jared's like, me.
Jared, how proud are you?
I never heard of them before Trump, but I know they existed. The organization goes back to Europe in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
But I never heard of them before.
I mean, were they out protesting Obama?
No, not really. They were out protesting certain things, but not Obama in particular. I mean, everyone, like I said, like the whole attitude changed. Like that's why I think everyone thinks Antifa is a new thing because they didn't hear about it during the Obama years, but they were out there for George Bush years. Like I said, like this WTO thing when Seattle, I think that was when Clinton was president. That's when I first heard about Antifa. And
I think they were smaller then.
I think they're about the same. Really? I would say they're. Yeah, I think they just
you
always.
Think they've attracted new members because of Trump?
I think now. I think maybe
Bernie probably got a lot of Bernie bros.
Probably, but you think like this isn't something new for me.
Gender studies majors that can't find a job or work at McDonald's.
Yeah, I got to pay off $10,000 in student loans for the one semester, so I'm going to go out and fight the capitalist system. I can't with these fucking people. Like, they're so obnoxious. I hate them so much.
There was one story I saw on YouTube about a guy, and he went and got his college degree, and he couldn't find a job and pay it off, and so he went and left and go to China, so he wouldn't have to worry about his student debt anymore. And it's like,
oh,
if they all did that, that would be great. They go because they're all a bunch of commies anyway. Hey, go to China. Then you don't have to worry about paying back.
Let's see you do that in China to pull that. God damn, they fucking put you in the concentration camps with all the other Asian Muslims, like the
Asian Muslims.
Yeah,
yeah.
They have a whole
Uyghurs.
Yeah, the Uyghurs. Yeah, the whole province in like Eastern Western China. They're all.
Oh yeah, okay.
And they have them like in concentration camps.
They consider being a Muslim like a brain disease or something.
Yeah. Wow. It's bad too. So they're like killing these people off, and
they call them re-education centers, but they're like concentration camps.
That's where the term political. Someone was talking about that, and it's the first time I heard that's what political correction came from. You go to correct your political views. They would send you the gulags for political correction. That's where the term came from. Blew me away.
Are you sure you didn't read that on a boomer meme, dude?
No, it was not a boomer meme. I promise.
It
Some of
sounds like
us-
it came from a boomer meme, dude.
It kind of does, but no, it's serious. That's where the term came from. God, I forget who was talking about it. But yeah, so these guys aren't going anywhere, and I think now that more antics they keep going up. And where does this whole like? I think it came from one British politician got hit with the milkshake, so now that's their
Nigel Farage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Farage did, man.
like what the like. So now your thing is throwing milkshakes. Like how?
Because he's a nationalist and he wants to leave the EU, right? So that makes him a
Well, he's also anti-immigration too.
yeah.
Yeah.
They
He's a
lump all
Nazi.
that together. So you're pro nation state, anti-immigration, and then that's good enough for them. I mean, that's,
Where does milk? Like who's just like
you're getting a milkshake.
who the
Yeah.
fuck throws milkshakes, dude? Like
I don't
it's
know.
the dumbest shit ever.
What should they be throwing, Phil?
Nothing. throw some hands, man.
Throw some hands.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, I
Maybe a
do think
natty light.
I do think it's kind of funny, and of course, I think it's funny when conservatives get triggered too. So
Well, you think what's funny? Milkshaking people?
the milkshaking. I mean, dude. I'm a practical joker. I could tell you stories of me playing pranks when I was a kid that are probably the equivalent of the milkshake game.
I don't.
Dude, what about the dude that threw the shoe at George Bush back in the day?
Oh, that's such a hilarious meme. Or
Well,
a GIF right now.
I mean, exactly. I mean, I think I'd rather get hit with a shoe than a milkshake because the milkshake
yeah,
is like
yeah, me too.
more humiliating, and then you got to find a place to go clean it off. Or
Well, that's why they do it. That's why they-
for a while.
They're like it's the ultimate hit to male fragility or ego, whatever words they make up. They said
I don't
because
think,
it humiliates
well, what
them.
happened to throwing eggs?
I doubt people
Eggs
with
used-
I know, right?
Eggs
like
was
the
a thing.
milkshaking.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, why not throw eggs? They're so much easier to carry around than a
Yeah,
milkshake.
yeah.
And everyone knows that you're going to do the milkshake. You can hide a few eggs in a bag. You can't hide a milkshake in a bag.
I mean, okay, I think I'd probably rather get hit with an egg even. Because it's like, milkshake's kind of like more of a mess. I mean, granted eggs, like the stinking and stuff.
Yeah.
But
And
I
eggs
think
will
I'd
like cook
probably-
onto you if it's hot out.
I'd probably rather get hit with the egg than the milkshake.
Well, that's good to know, dude.
All right, so
Glad you cleared that up.
I don't know.
All right, can we move on?
Do you have an opinion about it, Jared?
No, I want to move on.
sorry.
All right. I guess we can move on to the debates. So we did do a live. Me and Bergman over here, we did a live podcast during the debates, and it was fun. You can catch that. I don't think it made it onto Facebook because I think it was too long.
It was
I was
on
watching it. I was
Facebook
watching on
Live.
Facebook.
Well, it was
yeah.
on there live, but it didn't save a copy there. But I do.
Oh, shit.
It is on YouTube, I believe.
I was really, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What you guys did, like, I like when the debates are on to kind of do like that live commenting, like people do on Twitter or anything else.
Yeah.
In that format, with you guys watching it, and you could see you guys in the corner, and I could comment on it and comment on the answers. Like, I thought it was great. I wish I could have made it to the show.
Mhm.
Kyle, we wish you could have made it too. We even had a moment in silence where we were both like holding each other's wieners, thinking about you.
Mm.
Sorry, guys.
It was
God,
pretty
I missed
erotic,
that.
dude.
It was
Damn
kind of
it.
a last minute thing.
Jared
I
was
just,
thinking about you. I was thinking about Kylie, but
Damn.
the moment was had.
You guys are really trying to
Did you
get those
put that on
replications,
Did
man.
you put that on the After Hours podcast?
No, it was like
Should have, man. What the hell?
Yeah, it's on there. Just the sounds though.
what'd you guys think of it?
I
I mean, there was two waves
man.
of debates, right? And you did the live
Yeah.
stream on the second wave,
Yeah,
so it wasn't the Elizabeth Warren and Tulsi Gabbard one. It
No,
was the
no.
second one.
I did want to do that one, but I was actually like getting over sickness.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
But
Did you watch any of it? The first one?
I mean, I saw the clips,
Yeah.
from it after the fact, but I didn't watch it live. But the one on Thursday, we did watch that one live, and wow, I mean, it was very fun because these people are just so easily mockable.
What you mean, these people?
Yeah. I mean, you had the Swalwell guy, right? Who's
It's trash.
his whole thing is like anti-gun. Like he is the anti-gun guy.
Okay.
And he's just all for just banning everything, and so that was his MO the whole time. He also looks like not a real person. Like his face, like
Right,
he
yeah.
looks like a Ken doll kind of. of. Like,
Got that plastic politician kind of
yeah,
look.
like super, yeah, like what's that movie? I can't remember, but yeah, basically just like
Mighty
It's
Ducks.
fake. I got
yeah,
it.
just fake. And then you had Kamala Harris, who was
Ugh.
like putting on her best
Ugh.
like performance of I'm not like a piece of shit, fucking like old, former prosecutor, cop, who like threw people in jail for smoking weed.
While listening to Snoop Dogg
Yeah.
and smoking weed.
I mean, she was
Allegedly.
just trying to make it out.
Before it came out,
Yeah.
hearing music from the future because she was getting so high.
Right, exactly. I mean, she was just running this whole like empathy game where she was just pretending to just care about everything.
Yeah, I love Robert Marley. I loved him. Yeah.
Robert P. Marley.
I found it interesting how different their issues are than Republican issues. I mean, their Republicans are usually going the pro-life angle. They're going strong military, aggressive foreign policy. What else matters to Republicans? Abortion and military. Immigration
Yeah.
is huge, whereas the
Well-
Republicans are trying to out anti-immigrant each other. Democrats go the other way. They're
Right.
trying to be.
They're
you know,
trying to
and-
get as close to saying open borders as possible,
Right. They're-
but they won't say open borders.
And they're trying, they try to appeal to LGBTQ, which
Yeah.
I noticed that was the preferred acronym
But
to add
they-
the Q on.
They
Yeah.
don't actually want to. They don't want to have open borders. They don't want to get rid of ICE because that would actually be reducing government.
Yeah,
They just want to reform ICE,
yeah,
and so because a Democrat would never get rid of government.
right.
That I would actually be in favor of that. I don't think we need ICE.
I don't know. I've
Yeah.
been hearing them say they want to get rid of ICE. I've been hearing them say like we need to.
Well,
Shut
that's like
down ICE.
like
But it doesn't-
AOC says that kind of
yeah, it's just
Did
people.
you see the thing she did at the border where she was crying or
Oh,
looking
yeah.
like she was crying?
Oh,
Was that a
God.
publicity stunt?
Yeah, it was so
Oh.
funny.
Hey, dude, I just actually saw this pretty funny Photoshop where AOC's at the gate with her mouth open, and somebody photoshopped like a dick in her mouth and made the gate look like a glory hole. I thought it was pretty magnificent,
Yeah, but the guy like his balls were through the fence, man. That's kinky shit, man.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Healthcare is another big one for them.
It's like I thought about sharing that, but then I was like, I don't know. I don't want to get Facebook banned before we go live.
Guys, is that-
would complicate?
Would you say that's the meme of the week?
Probably.
I don't know. I feel like
No.
I saw some other ones too. I
But-
definitely did.
but
I've seen
AOC
1,000 memes.
AOC is like the meme of the week, right?
Probably.
I
I'm
don't
trying
know,
to start
man.
a new segment on this program called Meme of the Week.
Oh
Oh,
man, I should have
really?
submitted some.
Why didn't you
man.
tell us about that before?
He
and
did.
just,
He,
like,
did.
he
I
told
did.
me. He mentioned
spring
something
it,
to me.
Springing it on us, dude.
Damn.
Well, we're doing it now. So Meme of the Week.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a specific meme. It can be a general meme template, you know.
Oh,
So yeah, there were
so funny.
Wow, Phil can't even get it out.
It must have been a really good.
It was
Phil's
so
face
dumb. I
is
saw
beet
the
red right now.
Oh, it's always that red. But it was a picture of it was a waiter. He's scooping up. He's like scooping up a spoonful of spaghetti, and he's like feeding it to this person. But the person at the table's been cropped in. It's a picture of Meghan McCain. That's McCain's daughter, Meghan, and she's crying with her mouth open, But the bowl where he's getting the spaghetti from is John McCain's head, but he's sticking his tongue out.
I saw that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
I
This
was
really
dead.
disturbing.
It was so funny. Yeah, she's serving. He just sitting there with his tongue out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just, dude, it blew me away. I was laughing so hard at it.
I mean,
obviously,
it seems disturbing, dude.
I know. That's why it's funny.
Do you murder small animals?
Not anymore. I mean, never mind.
I mean, the one where AOC's like up against the fence and she's like crying, and then she like grabs onto the fence, and then it shows like a cow farting.
It does the whole Sarah Connor
Yeah,
from
that's
T2.
like the Terminator thing.
I like the one where there was a Mexican girl talking about kicking dirt, and it's like all the 6 SUVs pull up, WTF, and someone gets out and pretends like they're crying. Everyone gets back in the SUV. What the hell is going on?
Mhm.
Dude, I didn't see that. That's, oh my
I
god.
think someone posted that in the punk rock libertarians group.
I need to keep my eye on that.
But anyways, circling
For this
back
segment.
to the debates.
About Biden and the front runners, what do you think?
I mean, Biden. I just did exactly what I would expect. I mean, he just comes off as like sort of old and out of touch, and just kind of like just super establishment.
Yeah, but I mean, have you talked to anybody besides CNN that actually believes Biden is the front runner?
I haven't talked to CNN. Dude.
No, but I mean, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like I haven't talked to anybody who thought that personally. I haven't seen anybody say, "Oh, Biden's definitely the titties." You know, no,
Yeah.
I didn't see any of that.
I never meet anybody that really loves.
It's and then furthermore, we can't talk about the debates without giving props to Tulsi Gabbard, who was actually the most Googled person the night of her debate.
Yeah, I thought she rocked it.
And then the next day, I'm seeing all these articles where it's like trolls made Tulsi Gabbard the most Googled person. I mean, I'm the biggest Tulsi Gabbard fan, and I didn't Google her after the debate, so it would appear in Google searches. It's obviously people were just watching and they liked what she had to say.
I saw a Vox headline. I think it was Vox that said
Oh,
she was conservative on foreign policy. Her foreign policy was she was taking the conservative position.
So
I was like,
so Vox are saying that
what?
liberals are warmongers.
yeah.
I mean, I believe both parties are equally, and it's very rare that you see somebody come out talking like Tulsi Gabbard.
I was like, where are these anti-war conservatives? Like, I'm not meeting any of them. Like, outside of Ron Paul, there's almost none.
The other thing that they were saying the day after that debate was that Russia apparently, is trying to hack. Russian hackers are boosting up Tulsi Gabbard's numbers.
Yeah. These people and the Russians, it's like so ridiculous.
Really, the left is just making this like huge red scare, and they've been doing it for years.
And it's so hypocritical because, I mean, we've interfered in far more elections than the Russians have.
I mean, doesn't it seem? It almost seems like the left is, trying to set up this like huge World War III with Russia, and it seems to me like they've been trying to do it.
But they hacked our democracy, guys.
Yeah.
They hacked the democracy.
And, it also seems when you
By
think about it,
making memes.
when you think about it, not to blow Donald Trump, but he might have saved us from it. Because when Hillary Clinton was running, she was sounding like she wanted to go to war with Russia.
She wanted that no-fly zone, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One interesting question they were asked was, what do you think is the greatest geopolitical threat to America? And, a lot of them were saying it was
Russia,
really you
China.
got Islam, Russia, China.
You didn't say Islam?
No one said Islam.
No one said Islam, dude.
None of them went radical Islam.
No, dude.
Maybe
Yeah,
Tim Ryan.
I don't know.
Not the Democrats, dude.
Yeah, you're right. They probably wouldn't.
They're not allowed to say that, dude.
I don't know. Tim Ryan was pretty statist and that
Yeah.
shit too. Fucking idiot.
That one guy was saying
Maybe
like,
in that, I didn't watch that debate. Maybe
Dude, like,
somebody
it
said
was
radicals.
so bad. It was so bad. Like, the moment he said that stupid thing that the last time the Taliban was in charge, they were flying planes into our buildings. And I felt like the collective libertarian force. I felt everybody cringe who's a libertarian hear that and scream at their television at once. It's like 1,000 voices cried out at once. Like, and then of course, like, and Tulsi, like, ripped, she was like, that wasn't Taliban, that was Al-Qaeda.
Oh, the meme of the week could have been that one where Beto O'Rourke is talking in Spanish, and Elizabeth Warren and the other guy are looking at it like, what the hell are you,
Yeah, you motherfucker.
what
Like,
the hell are you doing?
dude, that was so cringeworthy. They're like, we're not trying to get votes from Spanish, like, bring in illegal immigrants to vote for us. But we can sit here and do my whole thing in Spanish. Like you're so full of shit. You know what you're doing. It was so gross.
I was wondering, like, earlier, like, before work, I was near by, like, the farmer's market in Catonsville, and I saw these, like, two white ladies walk by with, like, blonde hair, blue eyes, pasty-ass skin, and they were talking back and forth to each other in Spanish, and I was wondering if this is, like, some sort of, like, progressive trend that Beto is starting.
Apparently.
It was just like
¿Por qué?
and I was thinking to myself, it's probably a great idea for like an NPC Daily article or something.
Dude, submit it.
What about?
I mean,
What'd
most,
you? Oh, go ahead.
most Hispanics are white. That's one thing. I get, like, people make this big thing about Hispanics and think they all have brown skin, but actually most of them are people from Spain that are white, and I don't know, but it's just this perception that all Hispanics have brown skin, and
And therefore, they're like an underclass.
therefore they're a minority when in fact most Hispanic people are white. And it's kind of weird that there's this one group that's actually white that isn't considered white.
I wouldn't say most, but I definitely think there's a large contingency of like white speaking, even in South America. I mean, that's what like Juan Guaido, like he's pretty white looking. I mean, and he represents like the old rich white privileged group down in Venezuela that was in power before Hugo Chavez, and that I forget the term. I forget what the term they call themselves. It's like something in Negro, or I don't know. It's a phrase where they say like the people like he didn't represent the mass people who are of African and Indian descent.
Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Did you talk to anybody who thinks like what Beto did was cool? You know, giving his answer in English and then in Spanish.
No, I've not met someone who's like, oh my god, that was so good.
Did he do it for every answer?
No, just for the first one because the Telemundo guy was asking. I think.
I don't
I
really
forget.
talk politics that much with people outside of the libertarian sphere. Like, you know, did you talk to like who do you shoot the shit with about
Why? Is
about
it
the
because
debates?
you like being the biggest status in the room?
No, I go to work and I don't talk politics at work, and then I go home and I'm not talking to anybody. So it's like unless it's on Facebook, like in a group, we'll talk about the debates. But in real life, I didn't discuss it with anybody.
I talk to people I work with, and they're all leftists. And
Did they like think it was cool?
they didn't really mention much. Like they kind of, I don't even know if
What did they say
watched.
about Marianne Williamson?
Dude, no one knows who that is. Like no one.
Did you hear what she said though?
Amongst everything, dude.
So
it was
she's
so
like
annoying.
she's sort of like a Deepak Chopra type person. You know what I'm talking about? Like very
No.
woo, like crystals and
Oh,
faith healing and shit
yeah.
like that. Like she's
Okay.
so she's an author, and like her, the only thing I remember her saying was at the very end that they have to give like their closing statement or whatever. And she was like, "We need to harness, or what is it? Trump Trump assumes power based on hate, and we need to harness love to fight Trump." It was like some whole
Jesus
really
Christ.
Kyle, why do you never wear your medallion to the podcast?
I forgot my medallion again today.
medallion.
Yeah,
What does that have to do with this?
it's just
You were talking about like crystals and stuff.
Oh.
I don't know. I thought it'd be funny if Kyle had a medallion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. She's very like I don't know. It's a very bizarre woman, and she's just like up on stage with everybody else.
I think that's like it's like the early rounds of American Idol where
Yeah.
you get the really bad singers up there. you
Yeah.
know? So you got a lot of people
what-
up there that are
What's the
mostly
Democratic?
no names, I guess.
Yeah, but what is the? How do they filter out? Like,
It's-
what is the
it's-
qualification to get up there?
Probably polling numbers.
Yeah,
So
it's
she's
just polling
polling at
numbers.
least what
I think-
half a percent or
yeah,
something.
Yeah, you have. I think you have to be like over a certain. I want to say it's over.
But who's voting? Like,
0.25, I think.
Yeah. What,
like, what contingency of people is voting for?
probably wherever they're from.
Her author?
Well,
Her
that's a good
authorship?
point.
Yeah.
You find people like that in New York. And, I don't know where she's from, but
I mean, there's definitely people like
De
that.
Blasio.
Usually, they're just like sitting in float tanks or like
Yeah.
doing a lot of acid. But
Yeah, De Blasio. That was an interesting one. I've heard that he's actually, considers himself a socialist. Maybe not publicly, but
I did want to say one thing. Sorry, but there were a few on the second night. There were a few people, and I can't remember who it was, but they were pushing back on socialism.
really,
Yeah, they were saying like, well, we need socialism, but we don't want socialism. That's basically what they were saying.
weird,
But they didn't like associating with the word socialism.
interesting,
Obviously, Bernie wanted nothing to do with that.
right?
But I forget who it was. I think it was one of the guys, one of the dudes. But
Well,
I was like, well, that's comforting at least that they're not ready to just like jump in bed with socialism just yet.
I mean,
Well,
everyone
yeah,
kept
I
on
mean-
saying we need to like ban private insurance. Like what? Like
Yeah,
they don't even
that's
do
what-
that in the fucking European countries that they love so much that they based all their ideology.
I
off
think
of.
that might have been the.
that was in the first night.
But I think in the second night, that was a similar question that was asked, and I think someone pushed back on that and said, "Well, we need to take care of everybody, blah 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 blah, but we also need the private market."
yeah, and, I
Which-
mean, not all liberals are socialists. There are
Right.
a lot of moderate liberals out there, and some of them are even
Right.
elected into office. So
Right.
I mean, I don't know if any one of them is going to end up being the candidate, but probably not. But they are out there.
Can we also go back to what that crazy batshit motherfucker Castro said, where he said he believes in not only reproductive rights but reproductive justice. What the fuck does that mean?
No.
And for trans people.
Yeah,
For
the craziest
trans
thing-
people.
The craziest thing is he doesn't understand that transgendered women are not actually going to have a uterus.
They need to have access for abortion. That's what he said.
Maybe he means transgender men.
No.
Yeah, but maybe he does.
Maybe
I mean,
That's
definitely-
not
the
You gotta
biological.
confuse. I mean, let's be honest. The whole thing is a little confusing. Kyle.
Yeah. What does Kylie say about this?
I
Does
have no
does
idea
Kylie want
he or
reproductive
she will-
justice? What does that mean? Does it
I
mean
don't
like
know what that means.
does that mean like
No,
you shoot the baby in your mother's womb and you're just like justice has been
Well,
served?
if you get shot and the baby dies, then you get charged with manslaughter.
I don't know. I don't get it. It's fucking weird. It's just like they just put words together and like, oh, you know, like that, and the whole crowd's going,
Well, they also have to.
oh yeah, reproductive justice. What the fuck does that even
Well,
mean?
we
Yeah, I mean-
pointed this out during the debate related to like the climate change stuff, where I think it was
justice.
Kamala Harris was like, "I don't believe in climate change. I believe we're living in a climate crisis." It's like they just got to keep like bumping up the
Elevating
rhetoric
it,
at every
yeah.
It's
stage.
like word
It's like-
soup. They just put them together, and there you go.
There was one guy that was his issue.
Well,
You know,
but yeah,
he made climate change his number one issue.
I think that was at the mayor or the governor of.
And
Washington.
dude, Andrew
Yeah.
Yang, who might be the most interesting person on that stage, not that I agree with him, but he only got like 5 minutes to talk. if that.
Jared, you're not in the Yang Gang. You're not a collapsitarian.
I actually did join the Yang Gang on Facebook because this meme game, their meme game is strong, man.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, because his whole thing is like the $1,000 a month UBI thing, right?
Yeah.
Which
Or
I mean, I don't
security.
agree with that at
Yeah.
all. But the phrase is secure the bag.
Yeah. They want to get that $1,000.
Yeah.
And I saw that he did something. He said if you share this tweet or retweet this, somebody of the people that retweet it will be selected for $10,000 or something like that. So he's got all these people retweeting him,
Mhm.
trying to be the one person that gets paid. You know,
That's funny.
I mean, it's a pretty obvious bribe.
Did
but
you hear what?
Yeah.
It worked. It worked.
He
Yeah.
said apparently right before we went live on this, I saw that him and the other woman, the author, she was saying,
Marion Williamson.
yeah, she was saying him and Yang, or her and Yang were saying that their microphones were cut off.
Oh yeah. That is something that I heard. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the whole point of round one was, hey, we're gonna give Elizabeth Warren, we're gonna give her like the stage. Like we want her not to have any challenging, we want her to be the focal point and not have any easy just have easy competition for that. And she sounded like a crazy old bat, like just going off all the time. So she had it easy up there, and she was dead center. She got the most time. And same thing with the second night. Like that was the real debate. Most of those people are moving on, and now Kamala Harris. They love Kamala Harris now, because I think they like Biden as the aspect of like, well, pragmatically he could maybe challenge, muster up that old Obama sentiment. He could challenge Trump, but at the same time they're like, well, he's an old white man. He defended people who are against busing, federal busing. And they want to peg him as a racist, and so they're kind of like, dude, get out of here. Like, let's make this be a Warren, Kamala Harris thing. And they don't like Bernie Sanders. They don't. I'm convinced, dude. They don't like him because he goes into Congress as an independent, not a Democrat. And so he probably has the most support, but they don't like him because he's not a Democrat. And I think that's kind of like the Ron Paul thing. Like, they don't like Ron Paul because he wasn't a Republican his whole life. He ran as a libertarian. And they don't like that. The establishment doesn't like that stuff like
That's
that.
not why they didn't like
Yeah,
Ron
I think
Paul.
they just didn't like him because he didn't toe the party line.
It's one aspect though. In
Like
comparison, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. But I'm saying, like, in comparison to what I'm talking about with Bernie Sanders, if you that's a thing they hold against you, and I can clearly see it because they don't like Bernie Sanders, even though he could probably win, dude. He could probably, if he got that nomination against Trump, I think it would have been a lot closer.
Well, he
than what
is a
it was.
nationalist like Trump, so he can sort of.
I think he would have excited some people.
I think so,
more
too.
than Hillary Clinton would have, but at the same time, he might have scared a lot more people too. Because at least with Clinton, you didn't know what you were getting. You knew it was absolute garbage, but I mean, it wasn't necessarily the breadline right away.
When I think people are still, for the best, still scared of the idea of socialism.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, the younger generation, unfortunately, is getting sort of converted over, but, the people that vote, they're not interested in socialism.
A lot of them grew up through the Cold War, and they've
Right.
been, warned against socialism their whole lives, and they're not going to vote for it. But you get a millennial or somebody that's saddled with a ton of student debt, and you go, we're going to pay for your health care, and we're going to forgive your student loans, and they're going, that sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good to me. And I think Bernie, is an ideologue, and that's one of the reasons that the party isn't behind him, because he's not a party man. I don't think he is.
Well,
I think Bernie is
not the Democratic Party, maybe the Soviet Party.
I think he's ideologically driven, and I think he believes that his ideas are correct, and he's not necessarily going to fall in line and do what the party wants. Whereas I think Hillary was really establishment. Obama was establishment. I mean, some of these people are just, I don't know, they shake the right hands, and they're just in.
Yeah.
And I've always thought of Bernie as more of an outsider. I mean, maybe in the end he did endorse Hillary, but
He got
it was
paid.
begrudgingly.
Yeah.
I don't
wasn't.
think,
Not with that money. He got
I
paid.
don't think they.
I think you got a few shekels for that one.
Yeah, clearly.
Well, I think he was thinking about this year or next year. I think he was thinking, well, all right, I lost this round, but I think I got another one in me. If I
That's the same thing you do when Hillary Clinton lost to Obama. They were like, look, don't fight this. Next year is your year, and we're going to see to it.
Right.
Next time it's time.
I don't think they
it's your
said
turn.
that to Bernie, but I think he thought in his head, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to stir the pot too much here.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just. But this year, I mean, if he loses to somebody, I could see him just being like, "Fuck you."
It was a weird primary.
Maybe.
It was like they were the only two candidates. I mean, and O'Malley, right? I just
Oh
don't
yeah,
really,
Yeah,
I forgot about
compared to
O'Malley.
having 20 people on the stage
That
for
guy.
debates, like that primary was like, Hillary and this guy that kind of wants to challenge Hillary, and that's it. Like it was a 2-horse race.
Hey, did you see that meme about Bernie Sanders flying first class to the debate, or was that true?
No, I did
That
not.
was pretty funny.
It wouldn't surprise me. He had his own private jet going around campaigning for Hillary. They gave him his own private jet after that, the Clinton campaign. So he just
How
went
about
around.
that?
Yeah, imagine that. Living the life.
Having free houses in Vermont.
Right.
It's got to be pretty nice.
God, what a piece of shit. Fuck.
So,
Can't believe people buy
Anybody
it.
can write a book and become a millionaire.
Yeah, it's like, does he want to write another book? Is this what this is about? Like, is he even serious about running?
my friend gave me Bernie's book as a gift. He's
That's-
a hardcore Democrat.
He is not a good
Wow.
friend.
I was like,
You need to end that friendship immediately.
No, I don't.
Well, you can
end-
get into
I
the
don't
mind-
end it.
you can-
I understand.
You
Like,
No.
can get into the mind of Bernie, dude.
Yeah, I should. I mean, I
It might-
understand.
honestly, it might be interesting to read just to kind of figure out like what's going on up there.
I understand what's going on. I mean, I understand like they want the government to help the poor. You know, it's free handouts, it's free stuff, and we're
Get
gonna
rich
knock-
by
we're
helping
gonna
the
knock-
poor.
We're going to knock the
The
rich
Bernie
down,
Sanders
and we're going to
story.
redistribute wealth to the poor and the middle class, and it's a very appealing sounding platform to someone who's poor. So you have to know how to combat that.
Kyle, do you ever think that Bernie is just where your statism eventually leads?
No, I don't. I think that capitalism and socialism both have a state at the center making their respective laws, and it's a market economy has law and order too. So like I see it as the free market or market economy as the alternative to a centrally planned economy. And it's scary to me that we continue to turn over more and more of our market to the government, to say, okay, government's going to take over health insurance. And once they take over paying for health insurance, they're going to take over the provision of care. They're going to start mandating what doctors can charge, what they pay for, what they don't pay for. They're going to gradually take over the entire industry, and you're going to have more and more public hospitals, just like you have public schools, and they gradually take over the entire industry.
One thing that really
It's
pissed
kind of
me
like a cancer.
One thing that really pissed me off, we didn't talk about it too much, was, some people were actually calling for, all abortions should be paid for by the government, free abortions. And
Yeah,
it's you've got, you've got, somewhere around half of the country believes that it's murder. And then to force them to pay for your stuff, it's like, what the fuck?
It's grossly offensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's what they are. They want other people to pay for things for them. That's their mentality.
Literally.
Literally.
I mean,
the
I would
mentality.
like other people to pay for my shit, but I don't want to force them with a gun. You know what I
But
mean?
that's their politics. Is this should be a human right.
Yeah.
And that means the government should be providing it.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't really understand their conception of rights, to be honest. I mean, I don't know if where do they believe rights come from? Does Marx have a theory of rights? Like, I don't.
Well, Marx was thinking that he didn't have really a rights philosophy. He had more an economic philosophy.
Right.
So it was about who should own the means of production.
Yeah.
And that was his big thing, and where he thought the revolution was going to come, which he was wrong on pretty much everything.
Does anybody know? Did Marx ever move out of his parents' basement?
No, he moved into his friend's basement.
Okay.
Engels.
Yeah, Engels, yeah.
supported him through his entire life.
Of course.
And he also had like 10 children or something.
Spread
That
that
may be.
seed.
So he had some like absurd amount, not absurd, but like a lot of children, and he like obviously didn't support any of them.
Shocking.
Oh yeah, the government will take care of it.
Exactly.
Right.
I was just
The
reading
proletariat.
an article somewhere that was saying Marx didn't start these ideas. There were socialists before him,
Oh yeah.
and he just basically was
I actually watched
a
a
plagiarist.
yeah.
He
Have
gets
you
the credit?
have you ever heard of Crash Course? It's like a YouTube channel.
No.
It's pretty good, and they do like little crash courses on history and all sorts of stuff. But I was actually watching like they did one about like the Russian Revolution.
Ooh, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, check it out. It was pretty good. And they did one on just like communism and capitalism. But yeah, they were talking about like sort of the roots of socialism and communism. And yeah, I mean, there was a book called like Utopia that was written in like I think it was written in the 1700s or something like that, maybe even earlier than that. But yeah, there's always been these sort of like utopian ideas of no one has to work and
Well, the
we
original
just share everything and blah blah blah.
the original socialists were actually anarchists.
Mhm.
Because they didn't understand that people aren't just going to naturally do all this stuff. They thought, that if they got rid of government, everyone could just live in happiness, and that could live as one big social community.
Mhm.
And so, and the original libertarians, none of them were anarchists because they didn't want to be. I think the ideas came about around the same time. Libertarianism and socialism, and they didn't want to be identified with the socialists and,
Yeah.
and the anarchists. But
I thought the original libertarians were anarcho-communists.
no, that's the original socialists were the anarcho-communists.
I thought it was the other way around. Like libertarians were the socialists, and and the socialists were like the libertarians, or something like that. And then they switched over. Like
there were I don't know. It really gets confusing. All
yeah.
these terms get
They weren't-
confusing,
they
but yeah, like the original anarchists were, like you said, they were socialist or communist or just anti-private property, that sort of thing. And then you had like sort of like socialist libertarian. I mean, these are all just I don't know. It's all fucking confusing, but yeah, I mean, and the idea of like anarcho-capitalism didn't really come around until Rothbard in like the 70s.
Mhm.
Yeah, before that, I mean, all the anarchists were pretty much
I
like
think
communists.
his ideas were a little older.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
but I mean,
you had like someone
50s and then 60s.
like Bastiat.
Yeah, he wasn't anarchist though. I mean, I'm
Nice.
talking about anarcho-capitalism. Rothbard, For New Liberty, I felt was like early '60s.
Yeah, he
So
was.
when I
I mean,
said
going
little
back from like the
earlier, I mean,
50s
like
and
a decade or
40s.
two.
Oh, okay.
I mean, some people will credit Molinari, who was Bastiat's understudy, because he did, I guess, talk a little bit about it, about maybe privatizing the
What about,
functions
like,
of government.
Benjamin Tucker?
I do
Yeah.
not think he would be considered a capitalist.
No.
I mean, somebody. Can
I think
correct
he was
me,
more
but-
of like an individual.
Well, how was Lysander Hess? Like, I mean, Lysander Hess. I mean, I
I
don't.
mean, Lysander Spooner, you mean?
Oh yeah, you're Lysander Hess.
Or what's his name?
Never mind. I'm sitting next to
Max
Lysander
Stirner?
Hess.
Yeah, he was an
Lysander
egoist.
Spooner, I would
and
say that he was
not
more
a
of an
capitalist,
individualist.
not a free market guy. I don't know what his.
Well,
Anyone
I
can
don't
do this
know
over.
what his politics were.
Yeah, I mean, he was more into like the philosophy. Like he was sort of a precursor to Ayn Rand.
I guess, as far as extreme individualism, but
Yeah,
like,
radical
I
individualism.
thought he was just kind of like take whatever you can kind of mentality. I honestly don't know. I don't know what his politics were.
Okay, well, I would say a great. There's a great series on YouTube. It's called The Libertarian Tradition, and Jeff look this up. And Jeff Riggenbach, he did a series of podcasts. They're about 20 minutes long, give or take, on different libertarians throughout history. And it's a great education on the topic. Like I know I've listened to it probably at least probably all the episodes at least like twice. Some of the episodes probably 10 times. I enjoyed it a lot. So I think that's a very good. I mean, actually, after having this conversation and being ashamed of not knowing as much, I smoke a lot of weed. I forget a lot of stuff. So I feel like I need to brush back
That's
up
the
on
best
that.
of us.
At any rate, so I think that's probably about all we have for tonight. On the after hours, looks like we've got some stuff coming up here.
We got a lot of stuff to tackle.
Yeah, we have a whole bunch of stuff here.
This is gonna be killer because I'm only 3 beers in, man. I got a bunch to go, so
We're 3 Zimas deep.
I'm about to get naked.
Wow.
So,
Stay tuned for that.
all right, so
Luckily, we don't do video.
until next
Oh,
time.
we do.
Until next time, live free.
Or die.